Hi everyone, welcome to Paul's Mental Health Diaries. Today we have got a guest on, Adam. Adam Hardacre, right?
Hardacre here.
Yeah. Hi. Introduce yourself, Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm a manager in health and social care sector by day, and then on my time off, I like to write books about community, mental health awareness, autism, and belonging, and everything else surrounds inclusion.
Great. We just about missed the last part on the first when you did start talking about it then. So today we want to talk about your books, and
Yeah,
we want to get in the middle of mental health and community and football in that. So yeah, so we're
you've
going
got the right
to
shirt
start.
on, haven't you, Paul? So
Yeah, I had to get the right shirt on for this episode. Fantastic. Love Everton. Been an Evertonian most of my life, so yeah.
well,
And
that'll link in because that's partly what I wrote about. It was a lot around the last season of Goodison and all the emotions and kinds of when you think back over culture and your own generations, and there's been 5, 6 generations of my family who went to Goodson Park, including my boys. And I just started thinking about all the people who've been in that ground over the years, and that's when I came out my book, The Seat Left Empty. And it's basically a fictional story about a young girl in the stands who dad passes away over, who she goes to match with every week, and about the person who sits next to her and how they build a new friendship, relationship, and them communities around you, because we have so many different communities in our life. We have like work communities, we have school communities, then we go to football communities, all these different groups of pockets of people that we have. And it's about recognising that. And that's what the book's about and what they try and put across. And really, it was, they all came from my own mental health and my own struggles through life. So I've got ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder. So I have a lot of negative thought patterns. I have a lot of things going on in my head, racing through my head all the time. And I just thought, put it down, write it about it, turn into something positive, and here we are.
I feel like as if I feel your connection sometimes because like you were saying before, I do mine on days of talking
Yeah.
it out. So I have a lot of negative thoughts, and the idea of talking it out came when I started Andy's Man Club a couple of
hmm
years ago, and that was an Andy's Man Club is for men to just go to. Have you heard of Andy's Man Club?
I think I've heard of it. Yeah, I think I've seen some things on
Yeah,
it.
so it's all communities. There's loads of clubs around. And Andy's Man Club, you can just be a man, just
hmm
rant about anything you want, and you talk about your problems there, or it's a community for men, and that just the idea of talking out came from there, and negative thoughts, and as you've seen my days of talking out,
Yeah.
it can literally be about anything, you know.
And I think that's what, I was drawn when I saw your account and all that, because it's really hard for men to talk out like that, isn't it? And be open and brave. Like, I think it's really brave what you do.
Yeah,
Um, I use my TikTok more as comedy and kind of
yeah,
winds up, and that's my way of talking it out, kind of thing. I think I'm lucky because a lot of my friends, we talk openly with each other. Now, we never always did, because when you grow up in school and as you get older, you realise that's what you do. Whereas, talking about that kind of stuff when you're younger, you're like, you're just being a girl, aren't you?
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yes.
only as you get older, like I'm 45 now, and we really open up to each other, me and my friends, and it's really been helpful a lot of ways. But yeah, I think what you're doing is just great. Speaking out and every day going on there and just opening up and putting yourself out there.
Yeah, because the whole idea of my podcast as well started around. Have you heard of Round Table?
Yeah,
It's
I think
another, it's another
I've heard stuff.
community that
Yeah.
another community that for men, and that I got introduced to that through Andy's Man Club as well,
hmm
and we've talked a few times on our podcast about Round Table and what it does. It's really excelled my confidence
Yeah.
into doing this and into doing. Uh, talking out as well. It's been great. So it's really helped me as well.
So it is like, because that's what I see myself. I'm using my mental health, my downfall in mental health for my advantage now. So I've
Yeah,
got, I do my podcast where I speak to people about their communities, I do the books, I do different things, and, the TikToks, and like really pushing on my kind of, my own agendas around mental health and all that in my own way, where you're doing in your way. But it has been a way of using it as my strength rather than letting it dictate who I am.
So tell me where that began.
So I remember years ago, I think I've always been depressed since I was a kid, and had depression and anxiety and everything else since I was probably in my teens. But I've never identified it, and I've never spoke about it. So I went through life just thinking this is how you are, kind of thing. And I never spoke to my mum and dad about my mum and dad, and they would listen, but they kind of had that old approach. You don't open up and you don't go to the doctors and say about mental health because they'll put you on tablets, and that was that kind of attitude then. So I just went through life just struggling with different things, and then I had my first son. George is 14 now, and I went on a course in work for mental health first aid awareness. And they started talking about stuff, and I was sitting there thinking, shit, that's me, Like, they were saying this happens, and, people do this, and people think that, and I'm like, that's me. Am I not normal then? Is that like, am I just like part of all this? Is this me? And then I was looking at my son, and I thought, like, 'cause he was only a baby, and I was like, I'm going to start projecting my stuff onto you, and you're going to have that, what's it called, the speaking down thing, where, generational down thing.
Yeah, I know what you
mean. So I just went to doctors and said, listen, I've got this happens, this what I think, this blah, 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 blah. And she went, you've got generalised anxiety. She literally turned around, she went, you've got generalised anxiety disorder straight away. Let's get you some CBT therapy. I was like, sounds okay. So I've done the therapy, learned a bit more about it, got accepting of what I had, and just kind of carried on. And then it was a few years ago, I was working for a company, and I was really badly treated, and I've got to be careful how much I say because, yeah. But I'm just going to say it. They suspended me for 7 months in work, and they put accusations to me, and I'd bat them away. And then another accusation would come, then another one, then another one. And then I found out, after all this happened, I found out by the person who was doing the investigation, she was told just to find anything on me. Just find something. And they couldn't find anything, just kept batting it away. But during that time, it was 2020, just as lockdown was happening, I was suspended, and all this was going on. My son was just turning 1. So, sorry, it was 2021. My son just turned 1. They suspended me on my son's first birthday. They brought me in the office knowing I was going back to his party. Brought me in, said, you're suspended. So I went home, I had a big breakdown, just everything bottled up inside. And then I turned into not me. I wasn't me anymore. And my wife was sitting there watching me, and I wouldn't get out of bed, I wouldn't get washed, I wouldn't get dressed, I'd just be lying on the couch waiting to hear something. And I was not engaged. I had 3 children at the time. I was not engaged with one of them, the baby being 1 year old, just come out of lockdown. And it just went on and on and on for like 6-7 months. It got to the point then I was accused of some really horrendous things. I was actually accused because some people who I worked with had an agenda out for me. They made accusations that I sexually assaulted a person. And the person I was meant to have sexually assaulted was a friend of mine. And what actually happened, she went and had an abortion. And she came and spoke to me. The only people who knew was a partner and me. And she came and spoke to me, and she was having a breakdown. I was supporting her through it. And because she walked out of my office one day crying, that automatically meant that I sexually assaulted her. And that's what someone put an accusation in about. And when she found out the person, she was furious, and it was like, no, that's not what happens and all that. But obviously they go through them processes, and they don't take anything into account before they have the process. And if they're looking for something on you, they're looking for something on you. And it kind of resulted in a day where I went to Liverpool. I used to go for walks in the night on my own then. I was started going through a little phase trying to get myself back to some kind of thing. I look at pictures of me back then and you can see just blankness behind me, nothing there. And I went to Liverpool Albert Docks and I was stood on the edge, ready to jump off. I just decided I'm going to jump. And I was literally there waiting for it. And the person I was meant to have assaulted phoned me by chance just to see how I was getting on that day, just checking in on me. And she kind of kept phoning me then and saying, like, what's going on, because she knew something was wrong. And it just made me stop and think and pull myself back. And that's the one time that generalised anxiety sort of really got to me and really nearly took me. And I went away and I went to St. George's Hall and I was sat there crying, texting people, and she was texting me back and a couple of other people. I was trying to get just distract myself. And then I went home and I texted my wife on the way home and I was just like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay at all. And I told her what happened and we talked it out. And she sent an email to the company that had me suspended and said everything what was going on. Like, this is what you're putting him through. This is my shell of a husband right now because what you've done to him. My kids don't even recognise him, all this. And I went to the doctor's the next day and I got put in touch with a place in Liverpool. I can't remember the place because I would give them a shout out for it, but I think it's Paul's Place. Funnily enough, Paul's Place. I think it's Paul's Place. I'm really going to have to check on that, but it's basically a place for men with suicidal thoughts, and it was put in name of a young lad who did pass away after taking his own life. And I counselled with them and went through it, and friends. I told all my friends what happened, and I really opened up to them, and that was the biggest step, kind of thing. And then, yeah, I think from there it was just like, yeah, moving forward and trying to move on with your life, but always having that. You've always got them thoughts. I think once you do it once and you have that thought, it's always there, and you're constantly thinking about it, and not constantly thinking about it, but it has that fleeting thoughts, and you can recognise it. But then you can't recognise it.
Okay, so tell me about that day when you started recognising the same similarities to you and your son then.
That one, it wasn't recognising similarities, it was more me recognising that I was going to start projecting on him. So I was getting kind of frustrated easily, and I was like, this is going to affect you growing up. And that's what I thought, right, yeah, I'm going to break that stigma. And once you break that stigma, that's the main thing, I think. You've got to get past that in your own head. And then I've done that. And then it was last year, 2 years ago, 2 years in October, I think it'll be, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And again, I think I've had that for years, obviously, and just never thought about it, but went through all the processes and that. And
was it a long process?
Yeah. It took a while to get on the pathway, and then once I was on the pathway, it was very quick.
I know myself for waiting lists because my son, who was non-verbal autistic, he got diagnosed. He was put on the waiting list when he was 3.
Yeah.
And got diagnosed when he was around 6.
Yeah.
And at the moment, me and my partner are going through my daughter getting assessed as well, and she's 11, and I think she started putting on the waiting list before when she was about 9. So my son is non-verbal autistic, and Isabel, my daughter, she's verbal, but we think it's autistic ADHD. Around one of them too. So yeah, I can definitely feel what you're saying about noticing what's projecting around, because I've always thought this. I've got autism or ADHD, or as you generalized, negative thoughts. 100%. It feels awful, doesn't it, that you're projecting onto them.
But I think once you notice it, though, and if you're going to notice it, and then it's only when you notice it and then you do something about it. If you notice and don't do something, that's when that's on you. I think I noticed it and done something. I didn't notice it before that, so I don't think I can beat me, because I can literally sit here and beat myself up about it. But I think if I do that, that's not going to help me because I didn't notice it.
No.
And when I did notice it, I went
Yeah.
and dealt with it. And that's the main thing, I think. I think one of the other things, and this isn't spoken enough with men or either, I done a lot of research some years back after my second child happened, when my second child was about 5. And I was researching stuff around post-traumatic stress disorder. And one of the things that, again, I recognised when my first son was born, we had quite a traumatic pregnancy and a birth. He had to get rushed in, and it was an emergency C-section. They come at you, they throw the gown at you, tell you to sit in a little cupboard. And I was sat there for half an hour, not what's going on. You walk in, my wife's on the table, blood dripping off the floor. When my son was born, a gang of doctors come running in, and I later found out it's because he wouldn't breathe at first. And then apparently when all the doctors come in, he goes and does that, because he's just waiting for the attention, apparently. But all these little things, and this is something that I researched, that's post-traumatic stress for a man through a pregnancy. And not a lot of people know about this. I was talking about this one in work the other week, last week, sorry, because we were talking about stories about our children. I was like, you need to look into this and see. Your experience as a man is overshadowed when you're going through your wife's pregnancy, because you're watching the person you love, the person having your child, getting torn apart in some cases. You don't know what's happening. Back then, that was in the Liverpool Women's, and it makes me laugh a little bit. But we were in the Women's with my first son when she was getting a scan, and the doctor said, and it was a man doctor, and he went, "Do you like to know what the birth is?" And my wife decided we weren't, so obviously we weren't going to find out, because that's what she decided. I wanted to, because I don't like surprises. So she said no, and I said yeah. And the guy turned around, he went, "What you need to do then, if you want to know, is go yourself outside, walk over the road, look back, you'll see it says Women's Hospital. Your opinion means nothing here." And I laugh about it, and it's funny because it's a nice little anecdote. It is funny. I'm not really bothered. It doesn't bother me, but I think it does matter my opinion because I'm still the dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and and that whole kind of emergency C-section she went through, she was literally rushed down, and I was thrown in a cupboard for half an hour. It felt like, just told, put gown on. No one came and spoke to me. No one come and talked to me about it. And I was just sat there in a little stool in a cupboard. It was literally a cupboard. And I'm sitting there when I think back, and you're like, I was having a fucking breakdown there. I didn't know what was going on. I walked in, found her on the bed, drip. I remember the blood dripping. I can visualize it now. The dripping of the blood off the bed. Everyone around were going like crazy. She was out of it because they had morphine in her spine. And I'm like, what's going on? And luckily, we had a nurse who was with us, and she was really good, and she was talking me through things. But all that kind of experience, and thankfully, my other 3 children I've got, because I've got 4 boys, they've all been quite relatively easy births, because they were all planned sections, which are a lot easier. But that first one was horrendous, you know.
Mm.
And I always look back at that, and you think about all these little things, and obviously it's not about the man when a woman's given birth. We all know that, and I can joke about it and say, well, it is about me, because I was there too, and all that. But it's not about me, but also there should be something about the men, and some kinds of support. When I was a first-time father, I wanted to be a father, and I was happy about being a father, but it was still my first time as well as hers, and all them little bits of experience and what you see and what you're going through. But I think that's changed a lot now, to be fair.
Nice, interesting category now to talk about then is, what do you think about the mental health services around?
As someone who works in the health and social care sector, I'm not really known for being diplomatic about what I say about things like this. The mental health services are shocking. I work with people with learning disabilities and mental health. I can get an LD nurse pretty quickly. I can get a SALT team referral. I can get OT referrals. I can get every kind of referral I need quickly in my job. I've had people on mental health waiting lists for 2 years in crisis. I've had a person on a dementia who was diagnosed with vascular dementia. as the main support working team, we weren't told for 3 months that she was diagnosed with it, and that was after us waiting nearly 2 years to get that diagnosis. It's really poor at the moment, and I don't understand.
For a person who's in that crisis moment, it can really feel huge, can't it? And when they're told you're on a waiting list,
it's the other side as well, where you're not on a waiting list, you get brought in, and then they'll send you to the other side of the country, away from your family.
Oh yeah,
and you're like,
I've been a mental health support service as well. I used to work in a support service as well, so I know what you work around. But I've also been on a mental health ward, and
can't stand them.
The stuff I've seen.
Yeah, I've visited a few of them, and just visiting with people I've known in there, and it's
I worked there for about a year. I couldn't take it anymore because they were restraining. I didn't like restraining. I didn't like that. Yeah, just because of what they had to do. Restrain. I don't like the word of it. Anyways, the actions of it, but I wasn't ready for it in a way. I wasn't.
It's one of them, and for the flip side, there's some really good places out there, and they do really good work. I do know they are, but there's still a lot of work they're doing in general. Restraint when people are in crisis and that. I'm really against restraints as a whole, and none of my services have ever used restraints unless we really have to.
I agree.
And where we really have to, that's not just one person making that decision. That's like 10, 15 different multidisciplinary people. But I know it's needed for people as well. So that's where you kind of... But I get what you're saying, that the word restraint as well, it's kind of... it's very... I'm doing a lot of work in my work at the moment around authoritative language and how we use authoritative language and how we put ourselves in control when we're supporting vulnerable adults. We should be seeing ourselves as an equal rather than, for an example, we don't take people somewhere, we'll support someone somewhere. It's about the little minute detail that we say and how we say stuff. And restraint, again, it is quite an authoritative use of language and I'm putting us in a controlling environment.
The thing with I would like to say with independent living, because you put that title there, independent living, but when, sad to say, when the place I was in, they wanted to be, but it was very hard for them to be independent. They had to be motivated a lot to be independent, because they all had their own apartments or their own like kitchens and whatever. So if they wanted to cook, they would want me to cook for them, and you've got to encourage them to do it themselves. And I can't be asked. So all right, then starve. What is so? Yeah, it was a nice. I seen them as friends though. I always liked working there as an independent support worker. I liked it there.
Yeah, I've done a bit of rounds independent living over the years. Mine's more support living for adults with learning disabilities and a lot of mental health and stuff like that. But independent living, it's kind of like it should be all looked at as like a step up schemes. So supported living, you start off in residential care, you go to supported living, then to independent living, then hopefully you're trying to get the person to be able to literally just live on their own and not require support, and that's the aim, the outcome for people who can do that. Obviously it doesn't work for everyone, and people have to have where they stop on them steps. But I love my job. I've done so much stuff that we wouldn't even dream of doing. We supported a bunch of adults with learning disabilities from Liverpool to go to Kenya for 2 weeks in 2016. I've just uploaded all the videos of it because I made a documentary around it, and it was basically for them to go, and we built a school over there that we fundraised for, and we went over and painted it, and we were going visiting tribes and speaking to people with learning disabilities, with kids with learning disabilities in Kenya, who thought that we were literally coming to heal their kids like white gods. And honest to God, we went to a place where they'd never seen white people before. Some of the people who lived there, and we'd turn up and they'd be like bringing the kids out, like holding us like we were the Messiah, and we're like, we're not here to do that. We're here to give you a wheelchair and help you a little bit in terms of how you can support your child better. But yeah, I've done some amazing things at my job, and it's just
Everyone's like the rewards part of it, because
it is so rewarding to be a support worker.
I didn't go to work. I always thought it's like my second home.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed seeing. I supported six males, and they were like friends. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. So change the topic now. So tell us about your books then.
So my books, they're all based around community. So the first one, The Seat Left Empty, it's part of a collection that I'm doing around. It's called the Blue Seat Chronicles. The second one came out a few months ago, which is The Seat We Once Filled. And it's all the chronicles are going to be fictional stories within the stands of Everton matches, and what goes on with that little community and that pocket of people in that part of the ground. You know, their backstories, their stories when they go to the match, who they are outside the match, and it just comes from me observing people and just watching people and making stories in my head about who could that person be. A lot of it from the first book is based around me, in a way. So my granddad passed away when I was about 11. I was really close to him. I wasn't really into football, and I wanted a connection with him, so I became an avid Evertonian, because my granddad, my mum, my dad were all mad Evertonians, and my granddad especially. And I became an Evertonian to be close to him and step in the ground where he stepped, follow the players, and hear the stories of Duncan McKenzie. So my granddad's got a picture of him with Duncan McKenzie, and it's his hero, and he shows everyone it because he loved Duncan McKenzie, because apparently he could jump over a mini, and that's the story around him. And Bob Latchford, who could walk on water, and Alan Ball and all that. So that's how I got into football. And then when I was younger, even still in late 80s, one of my cousins, who was a mad Evertonian, he went to every match, and he was run over when he was 14 and passed away. And I got given a scarf, and that's his scarf. And it's like a proper 1980s Everton knitted scarf that I keep for special occasions, and I take to special matches. And the other week, his mum actually passed away, my auntie. So it was even more poignant. So I went down. His mum got a stone with his name on at the new ground, so I've got a picture with the scarf around the stone for her after she passed away, and done all that. But that's my connection to Everton. So I put the stories together, and I say it's come from my mental health, my ADHD, and trying to push something on paper to get it out of my head and just put it down, and they came from it. I then started looking at other ones, so I've done one around a young person with autism, which is loosely based on my son Charlie, because he's diagnosed with autism, but it's not him, but it is him. And it's about how he's going through life each day at a time. So it's Joe, one moment at a time, it's called. And it's not an educational story. It is educational in terms of raising awareness, but it's not. It's a fictional story. And each chapter is based on 3 perspectives. So we have Joe's perspective on the chapter. So one chapter's around him getting new headphones, for example. So how does Joe perceive that whole chapter? So what's his story on that chapter? Then the next part will be around how his nan perceives that chapter as the caregiver. And then the third part's how a neurotypical mind would perceive that chapter as an observer and narrator kind of thing. And that's really, I'm proud of that work, because, I've shared that with professionals, and they've all come back and said how really useful it is for families. And, really, if people read that, they'll see that. And it gives people an understanding. So one person I know, she came back and she just said, I wish this was around when my son was diagnosed with autism when he was a kid, and I could have gave it to my family for them to understand what was actually happening, because they didn't believe it. And that was part of the struggle. And then the other one I've got is called The Hollows, and that's basically a bit of a dark gothic thriller that's based around 5 generations of a mental institute in Liverpool, a fictional one. and it's all the story. It's 5 different stories in one giant book, or 5 different paperback books that they can buy, and each story focuses on, the first one's in the 1700s, and it focuses on how the mental health services then, if someone's put into a mental institute in the 1700s, it was about religion and about God and cleansing your soul from the devil and all that, because that's what they believed. Then it moves to the 1800s and it's more about Victorian time and how they started using electro treatment and all that kind of, starts getting a bit more advanced. Then it goes to the 40s, we focus on racism and how people were put in because the colour of the skin and they were trying to be cleansed through all that. 70s, more about people and paperwork. Paperwork was being introduced, but it was very much a lot of institutes in the 70s and cover up a lot of the things that happened in the 70s and all that paperwork, and how if you slap someone, they have a bruise, they fell down the stairs, that's what you write. And it's that kind of story. And then it goes into the modern day and how this institute has turned into a NHS museum for people to whitewash the history of the institute of the museum. And all the stories are connected through one kind of bloodline, and it all kind of links in. And yeah, it was a bit of a different route, but all the stories have one connection, and that it's not. I'm not trying to do a genre. I'm trying to do a theme, and the themes around community, belonging, inclusion, and about Liverpool as well, because they're all based in Liverpool, and I'm using Liverpool humour and Liverpool language. I've got a lot of Liverpool jokes about Purple Aki, if you've ever heard of Purple Aki. So there's a couple of jokes about him in there for just for the banter, and obviously jokes about Liverpool fans not being from Liverpool, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really helped me. I've been so engaged with it, and then you're doing media work around trying to publicise it. So when I released the first one, I was lucky enough to I just sent emails to everyone saying, can you promote my book for me? Can you promote my book? And I've got a lot of connections from it, from TikTok influencers to radio personalities, sports presenters, a couple of people who've been speaking to me, producers. And then I was invited.
Is this a See Left Down?
Yeah, that was the first one that came out. And then I went on BBC Sounds. I got invited to a little pre-recorded interview, and I went up to, and this is the first time I've said this one publicly, but people know the story. So I went up to BBC Media City in Manchester and Salford, and I was meant to have my interview at 11 o'clock for Radio Manchester, Cumbria, Lancashire and Liverpool, Merseyside, and it would have been pre-recorded. So I'll get there and they say, we're really sorry, but we're going to have to push it back half an hour. Is that okay? Yeah, happy to be here, just really happy to be here. I'm being on BBC. I'm not going to say no, you know what I mean? I'm causing trouble. Love it. And they said, okay. And they were running around trying to find, and they came to me and they said, we've got a studio now for you to use. And as we're walking, they said, we're really sorry about this. And I'm like, listen, I'm not bothered. It's been a lovely experience. I've been sat in it just chilling, looking how the radio station runs from BBC. Mm-hmm. And then they went, well, the thing is, Bob Geldof came in and he's using your studio that we were meant to book for you. So I turn around, I'm like, I can't argue, can I really then, you know what I mean? Even if I was annoyed, which I'm not, I can't be, because who am I to outstage Bob Geldof, firstly, even though, I'm not a big fan of him really personally. I like his music and that, but, other than that, I think he's a bit offensive a lot of the time. And then I just turned around and went, you know what, because it was a Friday afternoon, I should just came on Monday, shouldn't I? Because then he wouldn't have been here. And then I was invited on BBC Radio Merseyside, where I'd done a live interview with Tony Snell, who's a big presenter in Merseyside's radio. And that's one I've been listening to since I was a kid, going to school. And then I'm sitting opposite him, talking about my book and about Goodison. And I'm just like, this is getting a bit surreal. Now, this was in the first 2 months of my book coming out, first month. And he's just like, this is a bit surreal now, isn't it? And I've texted my family and all my friends. I'm like, yeah, I'm going on BBC Merseyside later. I'm going to be live at 10 o'clock. Like, live. And they're like, just don't swear. Don't do this. And it was the time that Donald Trump talked about autism being caused by paracetamol. So I mentioned it all live on radio. And I was like, I've messed it up. And then Tony just started spinning with it, and we had a good chat about Everton and stuff. And, I've got to go on Toffee TV, the Blue Room. I'm meeting people I've been watching for years, being an Everton fan, talking about Everton. I'm on them programs, and it's all come from me having ADHD. ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder. That's where this has all come from, and yeah, it's been a wild journey.
Would you say that's a win for mental health or a win for Adam?
It's a win for me, isn't it? Because I feel no. Do you know what? Because I'm not me without my mental health.
Yeah.
And my mental health, you don't let your labels define you, but in some ways it does define me, and it
Yeah,
defines my character and my personality.
I always try and say that don't
Yeah.
let mental health trying to define of who you are.
But there's parts where I want it to be defined. I am defined by it because I use that, and I say, as I'm saying now, my book was wrote by me having mental health. That defines me now, and I'm happy. But that's me owning the definition.
And I guess, for me now, for using Paul's mental health diaries, it's become just an experience. It's part of you, isn't it? It's your character. It's
as long as you're owning it and you're not being controlled by it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm starting to do, and I'm starting to enjoy life again. And I'm not the same person I was 7 years ago before I tried to take my life. I don't think I'll ever be that same person, or even 15 years ago, whatever. But I'm a different person now, I think, because I've still got that there. And I still every now and again have them thoughts and patterns, and, driving home one night and you just look at a tree and think, she'll just ram my car into a tree just to feel something. And then you'd recognise that pattern and all that. But that's just part of me now. That's what I've got to spend the rest of my days with, because it's never going to go away. But I know how to look at it and manage it.
Do you think that's come from the diagnosis as well? Do you think that is, as soon as you've had the diagnosis, do you think that's helped you? Yeah.
I do, because I'll look into it and find out more about it. And once I've got a name for something, give it a name.
It's like,
and then I own it. It's not just something in my head, it's my anxiety.
Yeah. So, bring us on to your podcast as well then.
Yeah, so my podcast came from the books, the Chronicles, and I just basically all I'm doing is trying something new and pushing myself every day with something. So, can I write a book? Yeah, done it. Great. Next stage is I'm trying to get it turned into a screenplay, and that's what I want to do with it. And I've been told it will work as a screenplay. I just need to get the right people, and that's something I'm working on. I wanted to do a podcast, and I thought, what can I do a podcast about? So I made a podcast called The Seats We Fill. And it's basically, it's been a lot of people from Liverpool so far, but I'm going to start branching it out. And it's talking about stories about your city, or in this case for Liverpool, our city, but I'm speaking to people. How does Liverpool shape them as a person? Liverpool's a very unique city, as is, you're from Wrexham, aren't you, Paul?
Yeah.
Wrexham's a very unique, is it a city now, aren't you, as well?
I personally don't know. We are gonna be, I think.
Yeah, I think it's on the list at least to be one.
Something like that, yeah.
Good old Deadpool.
Yes, yes. I've rated Wrexham football team are nearly in the playoffs.
I know. I hope he's get up. I've been watching that journey where they took over, and
how literally amazing.
How they'd be a really good thing. So my podcast is basically, how's your city shaped you? What did you take from your city? Where did you grow and all that? What do you remember of growing up? And I think Wrexham's just like the way yous have changed with that investment from Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, and I can't remember the other guy from Sunny in Philadelphia. Rob McElhenney. I love the pair of them. I love both. I love Sunny in Philadelphia as well. And Rob McElhenney and Reynolds, they've come in and not just like, we're going to take over a football team. They've took over the whole of Wrexham and made a
town. Yeah. And to answer your question, with Wrexham, I can always remember Wrexham as a hard-working based town. And I've grown from that community as Wrexham is, and Andy's Man Club, the community, the people around Wrexham are great.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel a bit of sorry that the town's become the shops are not many. There's not many around, but I don't think there's. I think that could be
That's
anywhere these
everywhere, that
days.
right now.
That's everywhere. Yeah, the businesses are not around as much as they used to be. I think that's anywhere though.
Yeah.
So, but the community is what's important, and the people there is great there, and Round Table there. There's a lot of communities there as well.
And have you seen, like, so for you, with them coming in and making all what they're doing, is that actually, because I see it on the Disney show, I watch on the Disney show what they're doing and where they're saying we've changed this in the city and whatever, in Wrexham, or the town, city, whatever you want to be. Mm-hmm. But do you actually see that really happening, or is it just all Disney magic?
Yeah, I believe it's happening around the town.
Yeah.
The spirit there. Because I've been to a few Wrexham matches. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Wrexham Town fan because I've not been to as many matches because I know a few people who go every week to Wrexham match, and and they can go and they can really, their spirits are lifted for everything. So I would say, hang on, I've lost bloody train of thought. What was the question? I've lost train of thought.
Whether you've seen the positive change in the area, like yourself, is it actually?
So I've seen it around me, community-wise, and as myself. But I think other people would probably say they've seen it around town, and and the football ground is really, like, the football play has even lifted their spirits like crazy.
Yeah. I love watching it, and you watch all the other teams calling you Hollywood FC and calling them Hollywood FC and all that, and I sit there and think
it's an absolute fantasy, a dream that we've never.
And even if you are just, they've come in and done that, and they've made that difference by making it popular. Anyone could do it to any team in the lower leagues, and
wouldn't even dream of it. Wouldn't even think that it was going to happen. Literally, could be 4 promotions in a row.
And then you look like Leicester, who had just won the league, won the FA Cup, and now they're getting relegated to League One.
Yep.
It's just, and I'm laughing at Leicester a little bit because you tried to sue Everton a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, screw you.
Because they were in the same relegation battle, weren't they?
Yeah.
With us. Yeah. Yeah, it's the same with Burnley, and was it?
It was Leeds, I think.
It was Leeds, yeah.
I think it was Leeds. Was it?
Yeah.
Burnley, Leicester. Yeah, I think it might have been Leeds.
Yeah, that goal that Calvert-Lewin scored, the 3-2 against Crystal Palace, who I was up in the raw. Were you there, Goodison Park?
Yeah. It was, I think I nearly broke my ankle jumping and falling down and that. I was right in the Gladys Street, right at the back, in the middle of the Gladys Street behind the goal.
I was watching on TV, and I just watched the whole pitch being invaded.
Oh, I didn't invade the pitch. I was too scared, and I regret it now to this day. But my brothers sit 2 rows in front of me, and they were like, "No, it's embarrassing. Don't do it." And I'm like, "I really want to," and they were like, "Don't." And then I was sitting there in my head. I was like, my anxiety thought pattern was like, I'll be the only person to get arrested, charged, and lose my season ticket if I do it. Everyone else will get away and they'll make an example out of me. So I thought, I'm not doing it.
Did you do it after the match?
No.
You didn't do it? No, yeah. Because it was really invaded after the match, wasn't it? There was celebrations going on.
Yeah, around. I stood in the stands and just watched it and took it all in. It was something else.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is just jealousy from people, isn't it, what they say about Wrexham and what he's doing, because any team would take that.
Yeah, definitely.
And as I say, it's not just being the team that they've changed. They've come in and just changed the whole community and area.
They say a lot with I think a lot of away fans can feel that, because they get jealous 100%.
The last time I went to Wrexham was when Wayne Rooney scored his first ever goal for Everton there.
Oh, really?
in
Yeah,
the
I
one.
actually remember that.
Yeah, you think he scored 2, and we won like 3-2 or 3-1.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out, and there's a big square outside the
Wasn't
grounds.
it? Wasn't it like a youth cup?
No, it was an FA Cup or a League Cup. League Cup it would have
Was
been.
it?
Yeah, because then he scored against
Yeah.
Arsenal the week after.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone talks about the Arsenal goal, but I always say the first goal he ever scored was at Wrexham, because I
Mm,
remember being there.
yeah.
And I remember coming out, and Wrexham have got a big gang culture, haven't they, as well at the time, back then? Because we walked through a square, and it was like right outside the grounds. We walked through it to get to my car. And as we were walking through, helicopters started appearing, and we got to the car and drove off. And then on the radio, they were talking about how this big riot happened in that square. We just walked through, and we missed it by like seconds. We walked through, and then it was just started with all the Everton and Wrexham fans.
I remember going to watch my favourite band in Wrexham, the Wrexham ground. My favourite Welsh band is Stereophonics.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and well, as soon as they come to, I've been to see them 5 times, and on my 3rd time of seeing them was when they come to my hometown, Wrexham. I thought I'm definitely going to go see them again because I wouldn't even care how many times I've seen them.
Yeah,
They're an amazing band, and that that was really packed then. Yeah, I wish they'd come back. Yeah, that was, I think, 2016 maybe. Maybe I'm wrong, but something like that.
I like Stereophonics, to be fair. Like, after the thing that happened with me, after with the job and all that, when I'd done it, one of the things that I did, I'm really into my music, and one of the things that got through me, besides friends and family, was Prince.
Yeah.
Prince music got me through it, and then a couple of years ago, I got my music tattoo, but that was the first one I got, was my Prince symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So my music sleeve arm. So I've got like Hotel California, Blues Brothers, Elvis, Beatles, all that. But the first one I got was the Prince symbol, and that represents me coming through my mental health and me trying to end my life and ruin my kids' lives by not being there for them.
Mm.
It was listening to Prince and Purple Rain and all them. I just love Prince. Got such a man crush on Prince, you know.
I think I've always liked music.
Yeah.
Music has been huge for me all my life, really.
Yeah,
I think I remember growing up loving Michael Jackson.
Well, that was the first concert I ever went to, was Michael Jackson.
Really?
Yeah, he played in Aintree Racecourse, the Bad Tour, and I was there.
Wow.
And so I've seen Michael Jackson, I've seen Prince. I saw Prince years ago in London, but Michael Jackson was the first concert I ever went to.
I've just been to see the movie a couple of days ago, and I really enjoyed the movie.
I've heard it's meant to be good, and I'm 2 minds over it.
I've heard a lot of criticism about it as well, though, but I don't believe in the criticism because I take any film as my own perspective. I never.
Yeah. I don't listen to criticism.
Other people. Yeah.
I'm more 2 minds about whether I want to go. I'm not going to pay a cinema to go watch it. I'll wait till it comes out, to be fair. But
I enjoy a good cinema experience, though. I do, because it's especially with a horror. I absolutely love a horror cinema experience. I can be jumping with a little popcorn all over me, but I love it because it's the loud noises, the experience in a cinema. Absolutely love it.
I do it. If there's a new Star Wars, I'll do the midnight showing on Star Wars, the first one.
Yeah,
I've done that a few, and the one where I can't remember which one it was called, but the one with Han Solo dies.
I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I'm a Marvel fan.
Oh, well, there's one where one of the main characters, my favourite character from childhood, dies. And as we were watching it, it was the midnight showing, so the first showing, no one had known this was happening. And my wife sat next to me and she goes, "You just gasped." Because I went, like that. And I'm like 39, whatever it was at the time, 40. And she went, "I can't believe you're gasping. It's a film." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's Han Solo, Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford."
Yeah.
And then the cinema went black, just went dark. And all the lights came on. The woman came in. She went, "Oh, we've had a technical issue. Bear with us."
Really?
So then they put the film back on and rewound it back to where we were, but they went too far, and I had to watch him die again. And my wife turned around, she went, "You've just watched it, you knew what was happening, and yet you gasped again." I said, "But this is my favourite character from when I was a kid." And then I went to Disney World and I saw Chewbacca in Disney World, and I just looked at him and went, "I miss Han," and I gave him a big hug, and we hugged it out, me and Chewbacca. And that's like, yeah, it's just part of me weird little child mind.
I went to the midnight screening of Deadpool and Wolverine not
Oh,
long
but that
ago.
was
Yeah, that was, I went. Well, a couple of my mates went dressed as Deadpool. I didn't have a Deadpool costume, so I went as Duffman from The Simpsons. It was,
Duffman.
yeah.
Can you do the voice?
No, no
No.
chance. Turn it off. It's not working. So, yeah. So that was a fun night. That was round table, and that was a fun night. We do some good socials like that. We've done some really good socials, like the raft. We do a Chester raft race, and the first time was we did it done 2 years, and the first time was really good because we all didn't know what we were doing. We got to the end and started sabotaging everyone else and started throwing water balloons and jumping off our raft and then getting everyone else's off their raft. So the first one was really, really wild, but the second one, we had too many people on our raft. So it was an 8-person raft, and we ended up about 12 people on our raft. So it takes about 20 minutes to race. We get on, set off, and it was fine, waiting for the race to start. But as soon as we started paddling, we capsized straight away, and all of us were in the water.
Yeah.
I was Freddie Mercury then. They couldn't have the themes, and yeah, yeah. And they said, "Do you fancy going back in once? Going back on your raft?" I said, "No, hell no," because I was too cold then. Yeah, I've had some good fun with Roundtable.
Yeah, it sounds like a really, obviously again, it's about men's mental health, isn't it? And getting people together to talk through things, and it's what's needed for a lot of people.
It's for age 18 to 45, so I think that age you can mainly do the things you want to do as well. And
yeah,
it's really good around community wise as well. All right, coming up to the end now, really, of this episode. Really, I've really enjoyed our chats.
Same here, mate. It's been really good fun.
Just one last good question. Your books and podcast all revolve around seats left empty and seats filled. I've got to ask, what's a seat in your life that still feels empty?
If anything, probably my granddad, because my nan died when I was 3, and then my granddad died when I was 11. I was the only cousin out of all me and my cousins and my family to see me nan. No one else saw me nan. I was the only one over the age of 7 or 8 who saw my granddad and got to know him really well and got to spend a lot of quality time with him. So I was their only grandkid, basically. My granddad had all the grandkids, but I was his first grandkid, and I spent most time with him. When my granddad died, again, this is probably a trauma thing because I remember it visually. I was in my granddad's and he had cancer, and this is 1990, 91, I think it was. I was only about 11. And my auntie Susan, I think, was there, and she was looking after him and doing everything, and I was just sitting there being with him, spending time. When I grew up, my granddad used to hand puppets, shadow puppets on the wall. And that's one of my memories of when he used to stay over. He used to do shadow puppets on the wall for me, and I always remember that. And he was a bit of a gambler, my granddad, so I like having a bet and all that, and that's where I got that from. But we used to play pairs and play cards. He used to teach us how to play cards. And we used to play for like pennies and all that kind of stuff. So it's all their memories. And he used to go rounds when he was dying with cancer. He used to go rounds all the time. And this one day I was there, and this is actually I've incorporated this story into my book in a way of that fictionalized it. But this is what happened. This is my story, but it's actually in the book as part of the story of the main character. I said to my granddad, "I'm going to the shop. Do you want anything?" And he said, "I'll have some ciggies." I said, "Granddad, firstly, I'm 11, I can't buy you ciggies, and secondly, you're tired from ciggies." This is what I've never smoked in my life, and this is the reason why. Because I watched my granddad go through this. My dad had a brain hemorrhage as well when I was like 12, and he survived that, thankfully. And I went to shop, got some sweets, came back, and the door was locked, and I couldn't get in, and I sat on the step, and I cried until my mum come and picked me up. And it's that seat, that step, that's the empty seat for me, because that's where I was sat crying until my mum came and picked me up. No one told me what happened. I just knew, because they locked the door and wouldn't let me in. Susan was like saying, "Your mum's coming to get you. Just wait outside," and whatever she said to me, I don't really remember. And then my mum came and picked me up, and I must have said something like, "I know what's happened. He's gone." And she was crying, and I was crying, and yeah. So it's probably that seat, that house. One of my other aunties moved in. I used to go and babysit all the kids because I was the eldest kid and all that. And there was one time I hated that house after that, but I used to always do babysitting there. And this one night I was there babysitting, and one of my other cousins came around me watching a horror film with one of her mates, and the lecky went off in the house, or the lecky went off, and I was only about 15, 14, and I wouldn't go back in the house even though I was babysitting the kids. I sat outside till my aunt came back. I was sat on that same seat again because I was so petrified. Yeah, it was. And then my auntie, I think she was living in there, or she was moved somewhere else, and me two twin cousins, Emma and Lauren, they come down. My auntie went up to the room and said, "What are you laughing at?" Because they were laughing at something. They're only like babies, and they never met my granddad. And they said, "We're laughing at granddad." And they described like what my granddad looked like, and he was telling them jokes because he was always telling people jokes. Do you remember the comedian Tom O'Connor?
Yeah.
So he taught my mum. He was a teacher in Bootle, and he taught my mum. And my mum, my granddad used to always say that he robbed my granddad's jokes, because he used to tell all the jokes that my mum would go and say my granddad's jokes to people. And Tom O'Connor then robbed all his granddad's jokes. But yeah, that seat where I was sat outside that house, that I've probably never recovered from, because I was 11, and at my last words, my granddad was, "I can't buy you ciggies because you can't have ciggies." Which, it could have been worse words. It could have been better, but that's fine. That's my memory. And it's kind of like, I think he laughed at the time. He probably laughed at me as I was walking out. And then you think as well, did he wait till I went? Was he sitting there waiting for me to go, thinking I'm not doing it in front of the boy? So yeah, that one.
I think I can feel. I know you're saying that because you may have heard me talk about my mum in my days of talking out on my TikTok page. I've always said that I wish I could have understood COPD more when she was going through it.
Yeah.
Because like back then, I'd always thought she'd recover from it. And she used to literally smoke 30, 40 cigarettes a day. I think she confessed, she said it once, and I'll tell your dad I smoke 15 a day, but I literally smoke 40 a day.
Yeah.
She said to me once, and that's why she would never probably recover from it now. But yeah, I wish I could have understood it more back then, because I always thought she'd just recover from it. I just thought she'd get better from it. Yeah, easy thing, but no, it took it away in the end.
And these are the things that stick with you, aren't they? And then
Yeah,
I think that when my granddad and when my dad had the brain hemorrhage a year later, and watching him go through that, that made me consciously say I'm never going to touch a cigarette. And I've never smoked anything in my life. I've never done any kind of drugs, never even entertained the idea of ciggies. I can't stand vapes. I can't stand any of it because if you see that as a kid and see what he went through and how he ended up, and your dad's going to visit your dad in a hospital after he's had a brain hemorrhage, and he's saying when you're 13, he's thinking you're a 45-year-old businessman from Japan. It puts you off smoking, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just memories, and they always stick with you, I think.
I always like to finish off a podcast, an episode with what's something that's inspired you. I always like to think of a film or a book or a song.
And I can't pick my own book just to be like really egotistical now. I can give you the person.
Yeah.
Okay, so I posted about this person a few years ago on International Women's Day. I've done a post on Facebook about her because she's past me mum, past me nan, past me wife, past me aunties, all that, past people who are family connected or connect me personally. I had a teacher called Kath Hamilton. And when I was 16, she came into our school one day and she said, who wants to go to Lourdes and do an Easter pilgrimage, taking children over who are disadvantaged in one way or another, and giving them a nice little break in Lourdes for a week. We have a pilgrimage, we have a holiday, we have a good time. And I said, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And I went the first year, and I was the first student helper to be invited back by that group the next year. And I carried on going for 10 years till I was like 26, 27. And then she passed away about 10 years ago. And I was distraught because she met my first son and she didn't meet my second son. And I was distraught about that. And I looked back and I thought, everything I do now in my job, working with people with disabilities, people with mental health, it was shaped by her and her values and her opinions and thoughts. She shaped me growing up in terms of doing that each Easter with Lourdes and being involved with her, and her treating me as an adult, as a 16-year-old for the first time properly. And I pick a lot of my values and my way of working and styles from her. And she's the one who kind of inspired me. And Caddyshack. Because it's just boss film.
Gosh,
just had to throw that in the end just because it was getting too deep. But yeah, Caddyshack.
That's an old film now, isn't it? Gosh.
I like all the old comedy films.
Yeah.
In terms of music, Elvis, Beatles, Bowie, all the old music, Frank Sinatra. One thing, I went to Anfield a couple of years ago and horrible time, but I went to see the Eagles there. And it was kind of, half me really hating being there, but half me loving seeing the Eagles.
Yeah.
And my 11-year-old son, Oliver, went with me. And I've got a video of me and him singing Hotel California together. And it makes me cry every time I watch it because I just think that's one of my favourite songs of all time. And again, it goes on to my music tattoo, so the Hotel California.
Yeah.
Me music sleeve that I'm building. But yeah, Hotel California and House the Rising Sun, them kinds of songs, just them haunting, echoey ones. Hallelujah by Jeff Buckley.
Mm-hmm.
Originally by Jeff Cohen, obviously, but Jeff Buckley done it better. And then Alexandra Burke ruined it and will never be forgiven for it.
Oh, X Factor, yeah.
I can't stand that version. I just hate it. I've never watched X Factor since she's done that version. Because that was one of my favourite songs by Jeff Buckley.
Yeah.
But a lot of music, I couldn't sit here and say any one because I could name song after song and film after film.
It's the same with me. Yeah, I've always been like a huge Robin Williams fan.
Yeah, yeah.
And I loved every film that he was in. I thought he was inspired in every one of them. Yeah.
I loved Popeye,
I remember that one when I was a kid. Yep. Aladdin.
I had a fight with my mum when I was a kid because I loved Popeye so much and I wanted spinach, and then she got me spinach and I wouldn't eat it. And I was like, but it's not in the tin.
Oh yeah, and music. I love any type of music, really.
Hmm.
You can catch me listening to Taylor Swift or going to Nickelback the next minute. You know, it could.
I was with you till you said Taylor Swift. You know,
well,
I'd agree with like loving every music, but Taylor Swift though. Sabrina,
well,
if you said Sabrina Carpenter, I'd have gone with that.
hey, another one I can listen to.
I love her
There's
songs, to be fair,
yeah.
but Taylor Swift I just can't stand.
She was in Liverpool a couple of years ago,
I
right?
know, I remember.
Yeah,
Voice.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's so many of them. I could, yeah, yeah. I even listen to a few Spice Girls now and then.
yeah, even that's better than Taylor Swift.
But Stereophonics is my absolute main favourite.
Wayne
Always.
Rooney's favourite as well, weren't
Hmm?
Wayne Rooney's #1 band, isn't it, as well?
Is it really?
I'm sure
I've
he
never,
played at his wedding or something, you know, and he's got a
I've
tattoo
never
from
known
lyrics.
that. Wow, I've never known that.
I'm
Yeah,
sure it is.
so,
You'd have to like Google it to make sure, but I'm sure he's got a tattoo of one of their lyrics on his arm or something.
oh, okay.
Or it was their wedding song or something
Yeah.
like that.
Me and my girlfriend have been to see them loads of times, and um, our song is Indian Summer together.
Hmm.
So, yeah, always like them. Um, yeah, film. I'm not really much of a book fan, but don't mean to. But
Fine.
I like audio books more than actual reading. But yeah,
So I've got an audio book of that, the first one,
yeah,
Charlotte
say,
Northover done that. You can it's available on Audible on there if you've got like Audible passes and all that. But yeah, it was really good getting Charlotte to do that, and she's just a top girl. Can't speak highly about that girl, and she's done it like really well.
yeah. I've seen her on TikTok a few times.
She's funny.
I follow her.
She's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
funny, and she's got such good football knowledge. And some of the people
yeah.
who comment on her videos are just arseholes because some of them are vile when you read them.
Yeah,
But she
yeah,
just takes it and she just gives it back, and she just
yeah.
she's a top girl.
Right. I like to finish with one final thought.
Yeah.
Football, community, and mental health conversations have brought us together today, but human connection is what keeps us together. And no matter what seat we carry in our hearts or our minds, none of us should ever be made to feel like we're sitting alone.
Couldn't agree more. Lovely.
Yeah. So with that, I'd like to finish this episode. It's been great having you on, Adam.
Thanks, Paul. It's been great to talk to you.
I've really enjoyed the conversations we've had on. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Loved it.
All right. I will see you again.
Nice one.